Good evening and welcome to this special report. Today, we turn our attention to one of the most mysterious naval incidents in recent history, 73 drones vs. U.S. Navy, the secret warship that never returned. At the heart of this story lies an extraordinary confrontation. 73 drones, launched in a coordinated swarm, targeted a single U.S. Navy vessel. To put that into perspective, never before has such a concentrated unmanned assault been recorded against a warship. This wasn't just an attack, it was a glimpse into the future of naval warfare. The warship in question was no ordinary vessel. Sources indicate it was part of a classified program, designed with advanced radar systems, electronic warfare capabilities, and stealth technology. Its mission was to patrol contested waters, gathering intelligence and projecting power without drawing attention. But even the most advanced defenses were overwhelmed when dozens of drones, working in perfect synchronization, descended upon it. This incident teaches us an important lesson. Naval warfare is undergoing a dramatic transformation. In the past, battleships feared torpedoes and missiles. Today, the new threat comes from the sky swarms of inexpensive, expendable drones that can confuse, outnumber, and ultimately overpower even the most advanced warships. The sinking or disappearance of this secret vessel shows that traditional defenses may not be enough. Beyond the battlefield, the implications are far-reaching. For the U.S. Navy, this is a wake-up call. For rival nations, it's a signal that drone technology has leveled the playing field. And for the world, it's a reminder that the future of war may not be about massive ships and fleets, but about swarms of machines fast, silent, and relentless. In conclusion, the loss of this warship is not just a military tragedy. It's an educational case study in how technology is reshaping security. The age of drones has arrived, and navies around the world must now adapt or risk sharing the same fate as the vessel that never returned. When we talk about the scale of an attack involving 73 drones against a single U.S. Navy warship, we are not merely discussing numbers, we are describing a scenario that challenges the very foundation of naval defense strategy. In military history, numbers often determine the outcome of battles, and this case is no different. Traditionally, naval engagements involved one adversary matching another in terms of warships, aircraft, or submarines. But the introduction of drones has fundamentally altered that balance. Instead of facing a handful of enemy aircraft or a few incoming missiles, the crew of this vessel suddenly found themselves dealing with a swarm of autonomous machines, each programmed to overwhelm their defenses. 73 drones, acting in coordination, present a scale of attack far beyond what most warships are designed to handle. To put this into perspective, a modern U.S. Navy destroyer is equipped with advanced radar systems capable of tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously. It carries surface-to-air missiles, close-in weapon systems like the phalanx gun, and electronic warfare capabilities to jam or disable incoming threats. Yet, even with this level of defense, the system is built around the assumption of facing limited high-value threats, such as a few enemy aircraft or perhaps a salvo of missiles. When faced with dozens upon dozens of small, fast, expendable drones, the defense matrix begins to falter. Ammunition supplies run low, radar screens become cluttered, and response times shrink. The sheer number, 73, represents not just a physical challenge but also a psychological one for the crew tasked with responding to such chaos. Another way to appreciate the scale is to compare it to previous maritime attacks. In World War II, for example, coordinated aerial strikes involved dozens of planes, but each plane required a trained pilot, maintenance, and resources. Drones, on the other hand, can be built cheaply, deployed in large numbers, and controlled remotely or even pre-programmed to swarm without constant human oversight. Thus, 73 drones do not just represent 73 individual threats. They represent a form of saturation warfare designed to overload systems and exploit every weakness in a ship's defensive envelope. The number also matters in terms of symbolism. A single drone could be dismissed as reconnaissance, a provocation, or even a technological test. A handful could be countered with ease, proving a ship's resilience. But 73 is unmistakable. It is a deliberate show of force, a statement that the balance between offense and defense has shifted. Such a number indicates planning, coordination, and resources that go beyond a mere skirmish. It signals a new era where traditional naval dominance can be contested not by rival fleets of equal size, but by swarms of small, inexpensive machines that together carry the destructive potential of a conventional strike group. Moreover, the scale highlights the vulnerability of even the most advanced warship when attacked en masse. Each drone may carry only a small explosive, but the cumulative effect of 73 coordinated strikes can be devastating. Some drones may be shot down, some may be jammed, but even if a fraction penetrates the defenses, the damage could cripple critical systems, disable propulsion, or overwhelm the crew's ability to respond effectively. In this sense, 73 drones are not simply 73 targets. They are part of a broader system designed to exploit the law of averages, ensuring that some will succeed no matter how effective the defense. Finally, considering the global strategic picture, the scale of this attack demonstrates that numbers themselves are becoming a new weapon of war. It is no longer about building the biggest battleship or the fastest jet. It is about deploying enough autonomous systems to exhaust the opponent's defenses, a tactic that is as psychological as it is physical. For the sailors on board, seeing wave after wave of drones closing in must have been an unnerving sight, a reminder that the battlefield has changed permanently. The scale here is not just numerical, it is transformational, marking a turning point in naval warfare where traditional measures of superiority are no longer sufficient against swarming technology. The warship at the center of this confrontation was not a typical vessel, nor was it part of the public fleet that most people recognize when they think of the U.S. Navy. It belonged to a classified program, often described only in whispers and indirect references. Such vessels are developed under secrecy for one purpose: to operate in areas where conventional ships cannot, either because of political sensitivities, contested waters, or the need for advanced surveillance. What makes this ship especially important in the story of 73 drones is not just its fate, but its very nature. Its design represented years of research into stealth, electronic warfare, and survivability in hostile zones. It was meant to be a step ahead of adversaries, a vessel built not for show but for silent dominance. And yet, despite its advanced features, it became the subject of an incident that revealed the limits of secrecy and technology. The ship carried technologies that at the time were not widely known outside select defense circles. Stealth design elements reduced its radar cross-section, making it nearly invisible on conventional radar systems. Its surfaces were angled to deflect radar signals, its materials absorbed electromagnetic energy, and its profile was kept low to minimize detection. Additionally, it was equipped with electronic warfare systems intended to scramble or deceive enemy sensors. On paper, this made it a formidable ghost on the seas. Hard to track, harder to target, and nearly impossible to ambush. Yet the reality of modern warfare is that no amount of stealth can guarantee immunity from a saturation attack, particularly from drones that rely on optical targeting, infrared sensors, or sheer numbers rather than radar alone. The mission of this secret warship was believed to center around intelligence gathering. Positioned near contested waters, it likely intercepted communications, monitored radar signatures, and kept track of troop or ship movements in regions where tensions were rising. Such operations are critical for strategic planning. They give policymakers in Washington a clearer picture of adversary behavior and allow the Navy to prepare for crises before they escalate. The crew aboard this ship were highly trained specialists, not only sailors but also experts in signals intelligence and electronic warfare. Their presence highlighted the dual role of this vessel as both a warship and a floating intelligence hub. Despite this, the secrecy surrounding the vessel may have contributed to its vulnerability. Being a classified ship means fewer public details are available about its specifications, and fewer official reports circulate regarding its operational limits. Adversaries, however, often make it their mission to learn as much as possible about such assets. If 73 drones were mobilized against this one ship, it suggests that its existence and location were not only known but carefully targeted. In other words, secrecy may have shielded the vessel from public knowledge, but it could not shield it from determined opponents who had prepared for this exact confrontation. The fate of the warship also teaches us something deeper about the changing face of naval power. Once, the U.S. Navy's secret programs were seen as untouchable advantages, technological leaps that guaranteed superiority for decades. But in this case, the vessel's disappearance or destruction reminds us that no matter how advanced a warship may be, it exists within an environment where threats evolve faster than classified programs can adapt. The 73 drones did not just attack a ship, they challenged the very assumption that secrecy and advanced technology alone can secure dominance. This story also underscores the human element tied to the secret warship. Behind the steel and electronics were officers and sailors operating under conditions of extreme pressure. Their mission demanded silence, precision, and the ability to operate without recognition. These crews often take risks beyond ordinary deployments, patrolling in hostile zones where help is far away. For them, the warship was not simply an experiment in classified technology. It was their home, their duty station, and ultimately their battleground. When we say the secret warship never returned, it is not just about the vessel vanishing from records. It is about the lives tied to it, lives dedicated to missions that the public may never fully understand. In the end, this warship symbolizes the paradox of modern naval strategy. It was designed to be hidden, yet its destruction became one of the loudest warnings in naval history. It was built to survive where others could not, yet it succumbed to a new form of warfare. Its secrecy protected it from scrutiny, but also left its legacy shrouded in uncertainty. And in the clash with 73 drones, it became both a technological milestone and a cautionary tale. Drone warfare represents one of the most significant evolutions in modern military history, and the incident of 73 drones overwhelming a U.S. Navy vessel illustrates this transformation in stark detail. Traditionally, naval combat was dominated by large platforms, aircraft carriers, destroyers, submarines, supported by advanced missile systems and manned aircraft. These assets relied on size, endurance, and firepower to project dominance. But drones shift that balance by introducing small, agile, and expendable machines that can perform roles once reserved for expensive, crewed systems. Their rapid rise has reshaped the dynamics of naval encounters, introducing new challenges that conventional doctrines were not built to handle. At the core of this evolution lies affordability and accessibility. Building an advanced fighter jet or missile system requires enormous investment, years of development, and extensive infrastructure. Drones, on the other hand, can be produced quickly and at a fraction of the cost. They are versatile, capable of carrying explosives, conducting reconnaissance, or serving as decoys to confuse radar and drain defensive resources. When 73 drones descend upon a single warship, they do more than present a numerical challenge. They demonstrate that an adversary no longer needs to match the U.S. Navy ship for ship or plane for plane. Instead, with sufficient drone numbers, they can simulate the effect of a much larger military force at a fraction of the expense. This shift in economics is a defining feature of modern warfare, cost-effective swarms that neutralize billion-dollar vessels. Another critical element in this evolution is autonomy and coordination. Early drones were remotely piloted, meaning they required constant human control. Today, advancements in artificial intelligence and networked systems allow drones to operate in swarms with limited direct oversight. They can share information, alter flight patterns, and coordinate attacks in ways that mimic natural systems like flocks of birds or swarms of insects. This type of collective behavior was exactly what overwhelmed the warship in question. Defenses designed to lock onto individual targets suddenly found themselves facing dozens of drones changing direction, altitude, and approach angles simultaneously. By the time a few were shot down, others had already penetrated defensive layers. The lesson here is that drone warfare is not only about the number of units deployed, but also about the intelligence embedded within their operations. The naval environment amplifies this challenge further. On land, defensive systems can be spread out, and supply lines are relatively close. At sea, a warship is an isolated fortress. Its defenses are finite, its ammunition reserves limited, and its systems designed to withstand only so much strain. Drone warfare exploits this isolation by applying relentless pressure. 73 drones, even if only partially effective, are enough to exhaust defensive resources and force mistakes. In this sense, drones have shifted the battlefield from one of attrition between great powers to one of saturation, where the goal is not to win through superior firepower, but through overwhelming persistence. This incident also demonstrates how drones blur the line between conventional and asymmetric warfare. Historically, asymmetric warfare referred to the tactics of weaker groups using unconventional means against stronger powers. Ambushes, improvised explosives, guerrilla tactics. Drones elevate these tactics into the high-tech sphere. They allow even smaller nations or non-state actors to pose threats that once required advanced militaries. A secret warship, once considered immune to such actors, can now be targeted by machines built at a fraction of the cost of its own systems. This democratization of military power means the future battlefield is no longer controlled by those with the largest fleets, but by those who can innovate and adapt to swarm technologies. Perhaps the most telling sign of drone warfare's evolution is its psychological impact. The crew of the warship knew they were not facing a handful of threats, but a storm of machines designed to overwhelm them. Each one might seem small, but collectively they represented the collapse of conventional defense assumptions. Seeing the radar light up with dozens of blips, hearing alarms repeat endlessly, and realizing ammunition supplies were dwindling, this experience underscores the mental pressure drones can exert. Unlike a single missile strike, which is sudden and direct, drone swarms prolong the attack, creating constant uncertainty and fear. This is a new kind of warfare, one that targets the mind as much as the machinery. In sum, the rise of drones reflects a turning point in naval combat. They are fast, expendable, intelligent, and cheap. They exploit weaknesses in isolation, overwhelm defenses, and erase the technological gap that once ensured naval superiority. The incident with 73 drones is not an isolated event. It is a demonstration of the new reality. Warfare is no longer defined solely by massive warships and advanced fighter jets, but by swarms of machines that can change the outcome of a battle without a single human pilot on board. It is a revolution in warfare, and one that is still only at its beginning stages. The strategic implications of 73 drones overwhelming a U.S. Navy secret warship extend far beyond the loss of a single vessel. What happened in that confrontation was more than an attack. It was a signal to the entire world that the rules of naval dominance have been rewritten. For decades, the United States Navy has relied on its technological superiority, its massive fleet of aircraft carriers, destroyers, and submarines, and its ability to project power into any ocean. The disappearance or destruction of this classified warship calls into question whether that superiority can still guarantee security in an era defined by swarm tactics and inexpensive autonomous systems. One of the most important implications is the vulnerability of high-value assets. A single warship, particularly one shrouded in secrecy and equipped with advanced technologies, represents billions of dollars in investment and years of development. Yet, this vessel was neutralized by drones that may have cost only a few $1,000s each. This imbalance highlights a dangerous reality. The economics of warfare are shifting dramatically. When the cost of offense becomes exponentially lower than the cost of defense, the traditional advantage of wealthier and more technologically advanced nations diminishes. For the U.S. Navy, this is a strategic nightmare because it suggests that adversaries do not need to match American military spending to threaten its dominance. They need only invest in large-scale drone production and swarm tactics to challenge even the most advanced ships. This event also alters the way global powers think about deterrence. The U.S. Navy has long been used as a tool of deterrence, its very presence in contested waters serving as a warning to rivals. But if a secret warship can be defeated by drones, then the deterrent effect weakens. Rivals may now view U.S. ships as vulnerable targets rather than untouchable symbols of power. This shift in perception could embolden adversaries to act more aggressively in regions such as the South China Sea, the Persian Gulf, or the Baltic Sea, knowing that drone swarms can neutralize traditional naval superiority. Deterrence, once rooted in fear of overwhelming retaliation, must now be recalibrated in light of the drone threat. Another implication lies in the rapid pace of technological adaptation. If drones are capable of sinking or disabling advanced warships today, what will they be capable of in the next decade? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and advanced sensors will only make drone swarms smarter, faster, and harder to counter. Meanwhile, naval defense systems take years to develop and deploy, creating a lag between the threat and the ability to respond. This creates a dangerous gap in which adversaries may exploit current vulnerabilities before effective countermeasures can be implemented. Strategically, the Navy must now accelerate its development of anti-drone technologies, whether through directed energy weapons like lasers, advanced jamming systems, or entirely new doctrines for ship defense. The implications are not confined to the battlefield alone. Politically, the incident raises difficult questions about secrecy and accountability. A classified ship vanishing due to a drone swarm forces policymakers to confront the balance between maintaining secrecy and ensuring readiness. If such vessels can be destroyed without public knowledge until long after the event, how many other classified programs might be vulnerable? Strategically, transparency may become as important as innovation, because secrecy can no longer shield ships from the harsh realities of technological change. Perhaps the deepest implication of all lies in the symbolic message this event sends to both allies and adversaries. For allies, the loss of a U.S. Navy warship undermines confidence in American protection. Nations that depend on U.S. naval power for security may begin to question whether that power can still guarantee stability. For adversaries, the incident is proof that unconventional strategies can yield significant victories against stronger opponents. In a world already marked by shifting alliances and contested regions, such perceptions can influence diplomacy, escalate tensions, and encourage further challenges to U.S. naval authority. Ultimately, the strategic implications extend beyond drones themselves. They touch on the future of military planning, the balance of global power, and the very meaning of naval superiority. The U.S. Navy must now consider whether its current fleet, built around large and expensive platforms, is suited for a world where cheap, expendable drones can neutralize them in overwhelming numbers. If not, the entire concept of naval warfare may need to be reimagined, shifting away from reliance on a few powerful vessels and toward distributed, flexible systems capable of adapting to new threats. The incident of 73 drones is not just a military event, it is a strategic turning point that forces every nation to rethink how wars at sea will be fought in the years ahead.